What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another World of Warcraft video for the War Within, and today we're talking about one of my favorite ways to make gold in the War Within, or just in World of Warcraft in general. This will be a kind of passive gold, but at the same time not really. We're talking about cooldown crafting. This means you're crafting something, then you have a cooldown attached to that craft, and this one generally just makes the craft worth way more gold, because it's not something you can mass produce. Think about concentration, for example, from the War Within. It makes pretty much everything quality 3 a cooldown craft, because you can spend your concentration to make things even cheaper, and then you recharge your concentration over time. So concentration pretty much has made everything a cooldown craft, but today we're talking about actual cooldown crafts, and how to take this to the next level and make a bunch of gold. Now, in the essence here, we're talking about tailoring, and I'll be focusing on the tailoring aspect of cooldown crafting. So we have, for example, not here, but if we go to Zygor, you can actually click here and just like change expansions to what you want to make. If you go to Zygor crafting, you have Dawnweave and you have Duskweave. At the moment, you lose a little bit of gold when you make Dawnweave, but you actually make gold every single time when making Duskweave. And this kind of signals the return of cooldown crafting for me, because after the launch, the price of Dawnweave and Duskweave went very far down, to the point where you literally struggled to make profit in any of them. Now recently, the last couple of weeks, they have actually come back to the point where they're now worth doing. There were a couple of weeks where I literally didn't even do a single craft because they weren't profitable. I literally made more gold selling the materials than doing the actual craft. I have 20 tailors set up, and I didn't do the craft on any of them for about 2 or 3 weeks, but I have started doing them now, and they're actually back to being profitable. And let's just take a look at the auction house and the current crafting cost. So let's start with Dawnweave. For Dawnweave, you need 2 exquisite weaver cloth bolts, which are 98 gold each, and let's just round up to 100 to keep the math simple, so that's 200 gold. And yeah, there's like a lot of them for that price as well, so that's not a bait price. There is like a huge jump right here, but like that's 5.5 million worth of gold for about 100 gold each. So 100 gold, that is 200 gold to craft this, and then you have the Spool of Dawn thread, which are usually quite cheap, and you can add another 100 gold here, even though it's more like 88, but that means it's 300 gold to craft. Now Dawnweave in itself is only worth 90 gold, so let's round up to 100, so you basically spend 300 to make 200 gold, but that is baseline. Then you have resourcefulness procs and multicraft procs. Multicraft is the big one. Now for Duskweave, like if you have to choose, and if you're setting up tailoring right now, Duskweave is the one to go for, because Dawnweave, as you can see, you're losing gold baseline, but you will make gold over time thanks to multicraft. That being said, Duskweave is literally profitable baseline. Once again, you need 2 exquisite weaver cloth bolts, so they're 995 now, but let's just say 100 once again, so 200 gold. Then you need 8 spools of dusk thread, which would be about 200 gold more, so 400 gold to make, and they're selling for 210 gold each, which means baseline, before calculating resourcefulness or multicraft, you're making 20 gold profit per craft. Now granted, that is nothing, it's 20 gold, but when you proc multicraft, you don't just get 1 extra bolt, you can get 11 bolts, which is 9 extra bolts, and they go for 200 gold each, so that is 1800 gold from 1 multicraft proc, and I have 23% multicraft, haven't even maxed out my stats. We can get to about 25%, which means technically every 4 craft will be a multicraft proc, to the point where you will usually make a lot more bolts than it says right here. And I mean, we can just go right now and do these crafts, even though I technically usually stock up to 30 crafts before I do them, but let's just do them right now to take a look. Every now and then you might want to use some of these as well, by the way, but I don't do them on normal crafts, but when I do my concentration crafts, I quite often use this one for the ingenuity proc, for example, because it's just so cheap, and it gives you more ingenuity. so that one is worth keeping in mind. But we're just going to make them right now, so 15 crafts, and let's see if we get any multi-craft procs. According to Craft Sim, we are losing gold every single time we got a multi-craft there, but as you just saw in the auction house, we are getting 20 gold profit every single time, and anytime we proc resourcefulness, that is more gold, and multi-craft, that is even more gold as well. Now, we just did 15 crafts, so we should have 30 bolts right now, but we have 42. That means we just got 12 extra bolts, technically for free, so we made about 2,500 gold, give or take, right there from 15 crafts. That is not a lot, by the way, but it definitely helps out. Now in Dawnweave we only have enough to make 7, but once again, let's see if we get any multi-craft procs, because even though we lose about 100 gold per craft, we just need one good multi-craft proc and we get all of that gold back. This time I did end up losing gold, but over time, if you make enough of them, you tend to make profit here as well. Now, once again, if you're starting up a tailor right now, I would highly recommend you go down the route of Duskweave, because that is just way more profitable than Dawnweave. So max out Duskweave first, and then start going into Dawnweave as well, but Duskweave is a good one, and that is where you will make most of your gold anyway. So go into Duskweave, and then over time go into Dawnweave as well, if you're starting from scratch. And for that, just make sure to get 20 points down here, because that will give you way more possible crafts, and they reach charge even faster. So in Dawnweave right now, for example, we only have up to 10 crafts, but in Duskweave we have up to 30. It's a massive difference. Now, one more thing to pay attention to here is that I, for example, have full blue tools, so I have this one with multi-craft. You might want to change that to resourcefulness, by the way, in patch 11.0.7, which I have a previous video about, talking about the changes coming in the next patch. Now, at this point in the expansion, you kind of need to have these blue tools to actually make profit, because it's a competitive scene after all. You're working against other players to make these items, and you want to have these stats, like the blue items, the rare items, have better stats than the green counterparts. So if you haven't gotten the blue tools yet, I would recommend going for an acuity shuffle when starting out. Enchanting, for example, I have a video on the enchanting shuffle where you can get over 1,000 acuity in less than half an hour, and it costs you basically nothing. So getting these blue tools is not even a problem. I set up this tailor, by the way, in 1 day. Like, you can get these blue tools in about an hour of just trying, so you can get the spec that I have in about an hour or something like that. Now, where cooldown crafting gets even more wild is when you think about it's all a game of supply versus demand. I have started setting myself up to make Dragonflight cooldown craft, because they still have a cooldown attached to them, and this character I set up for Dragonflight crafting this week, and I'm just going to show you the profits here. We are getting 138 gold per chronocloth bolt, and it costs us 67 plus 66 to make, so like 120 gold crafting cost, plus 24 from here, so let's just say 140 gold crafting cost. So we almost break even just by crafting this item, but we have 30% resourcefulness and 49% multi-craft, so chances are we will get way more bolts than the amount we're crafting. Now, I just set up this character this week. I have a lot of characters now set up for Dragonflight crafting, by the way, and this one in 1 week. I got enough knowledge points to get this build 30, 15 and 20. 30, 15 and 20, and in textiles we also have enough to get the weaving part right here, and we're also going to start going into tailoring mastery for resourcefulness over here as well, down here, to get more gold back, so we can actually improve these stats by a lot. Now, this one is basically because you get these stats from your War Within tools, they carry over to Dragonflight crafting, which makes you craft with insane stats compared to what you're supposed to. Now, I'm just gonna say, I have 20 tailors set up, and 10 of them are doing, actually 12 of them now, are doing Dragonflight crafting. So I'm doing Dragonflight crafting on 12 characters, and I sell these bolts from 12 characters in about 2 days. So like that's posting them twice on the auction house, they all sell. They sell really well on the auction house, and it's a good way to just improve your gold. Now once again, we have a break even on Chronocloth if we literally just proc 0 multicraft, but we're gonna proc multicraft almost every single time. And when we don't proc multicraft, we tend to proc resourcefulness, and literally anytime you proc anything, you make gold, and sometimes you proc both at the same time. And as you can see from multicraft, we don't just get 1 extra, sometimes we get 2 extra, and over here we just got 3 extra, which makes us make a lot of gold. So we just made about 14 crafts, right, and we ended up with 25 bolts, so 11 bolts for free. That is about 1,500 gold over there as well. Now, when it comes to crafting your cooldown cloth in Dragonflight crafts, it's the same story as in the War Within, where one type of bolt is selling way better than the other one, and that is because the Chrono cloth is basically the same as the Dawn Weave, where they are used in the reagent bags. Meanwhile, the Dusk Weave is used in the regular bags, and same thing with the Acer Weave bolts, they're used in the regular bags as well. So one Acer Weave is selling for 273 gold right now, meanwhile Awakened Frost is 36, Awakened Order is 66, so that's 100 gold, and this one is 8 gold. So we spend about 125 gold to get 273 gold back from every single craft. That is a massive profit margin right there, just from that one alone, which means for every single craft we do, we make about 150 gold baseline, and then you have multicraft on top, and then you have resourcefulness on top as well. Now for the Dragonflight aspect here, you have a couple of things. Number one, not everyone and a very small portion of the player base will be willing to go back and do old content, even if it goes really fast. Like setting up this build that I made this week, this took me like 30 minutes by the way to set up, not even 30 minutes, more like 20 minutes to set up. Not everyone wants to do 20 minutes of Dragonflight content, but in 20 minutes I set this up and I can now reap the profits. So it's a barrier of entry of people not wanting to go back and do old expansion content, but it's also that you have to travel to specific looms. So the Acer Weave bolt you have to go here for, and for Chronocloth you have to go to the point where I just was, in Thaldraszus, all the way down here on this pillar. So you have to be at certain looms to even craft these items. So for Acer Weave, for example, we're going to make those right now, and once again, for every single craft, we make 150 gold profit baseline. So just from crafting 14 crafts here, we're going to get about 2,000 gold, but then again, every single time we proc multicraft or resourcefulness, we will make even more gold on top as well. So over here, from this one for example, we've already procced a lot of multicrafts, and resourcefulness over here as well, multicraft once again, and resourcefulness over here. So we're making a bunch of gold every single time, and you can see in the craft sim window, we have made 4,370 gold, even though technically we make a little bit more. Now, I was really unlucky on the multicraft procs here. We had 49% chance to proc, and I only think we procced twice. No, 3 times. 3 or 4 times, so kind of unlucky, but you get the point. Crafting Acer Weave bolts is absolutely insane, and will make you a lot of gold, and it's also semi-passive, because you can stack up 30 crafts before you go here and do these crafts. So for me, I usually come here every 10 days, because you get 3 charges per day, so every 10 days, you just fly over here, and you print between 10 and 15,000 gold. It's super simple. Now, if any of you guys want to actually set up Dragonflight tailoring after watching this part of the video, I would recommend getting Handy Note Dragonflight and flying around and grab treasures. That is the best and fastest and easiest way to get knowledge points, and for that, the map will be very cluttered when you begin, so just unhook everything here, except for profession knowledge, and then the only treasures you will see on your map will be profession treasures, giving you knowledge points. So at that point, you just fly around and grab those treasures. Now remember, you will have quite a few of them in Acer Span, Thaldraszus, Waking Shores, and on around plains, but you will also have a couple of them inside the Emerald Dream. So if you go over here on this map, you will have 3 of them over here as well, and you also have another zone down here, the Saralek Cavern, and you will have 3 more treasures down there as well. So just grabbing those treasures, you get a hefty amount of knowledge points. It's really simple, really fast, and you can set this up literally in 20 minutes. And once again, Dragonflight bolts are flying off the auction house. I have 12 characters set up as of right now doing these crafts, and I sell all of the bolts, no problem. I use some of them myself as well to make bags and then sell those bags for even more gold, but point of the story is these bolts sell. Don't worry about them selling, so if you want to make more gold, that's it right there. And that is basically what I have for you today. I just wanted to make a whole video talking more about cooldown crafting, both the War Within bolts and also Dragonflight bolts, because to be honest, I make a lot of gold from this, and the Dragonflight bolts are always profitable, at least in my experience, and now the War Within ones are also back to being profitable, so it's a good time to just set up tailoring characters and reap the profits. In addition to that, you can also make, for example, spell threads in War Within Tailoring to utilize your concentration to make more gold from that as well. I, for example, have a build here set up to make spell threads, so I'm specced into spell threads right here with resourcefulness and also less is more, so I'm basically maxed out for making spell threads, which is what I'm doing with my concentration at the moment. So tailoring is really good for gold making, and hopefully this video is helpful. If you want to learn more about gold making, then check out my gold making guide for the War Within through the link down below in the pinned comment, but either way, that's basically the video, so thank you for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.